Dear participants, quickly fill up the registration. Dear participants, registration form has been shared in the chat box. Quickly fill up the registration form. Good evening, one and all. Hope everyone can hear me. Good evening, one and all. Just let me know if there is any audio disconnect. We are from since 2 3 days. There is some audio issue in between. Hope since morning there is no issue, but let me know if there is any audio disconnect through chat box. So, good evening, one and all. We welcome you to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022 on occasion of today being celebrated Telugu Language Day or Telugu Bhasha Dinotsav, and also various other events commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, UN Sustainable Development Goals as part of event.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Yeah, with the blessings of the Almighty, we shall continue to today's session. Hope you all can hear me. You can use chat box to respond. Now, am I audible? Okay. So today we are commemorating International Day Against Nuclear Tests in increasing awareness and education about the effects of nuclear weapon, test explosions, or any other nuclear explosions, and need for their cessation as one of the means of achieving the goal of a nuclear weapon-free world and to have a global peace in order. And today we are also commemorating Telugu Language Day, Telugu Bhasha Dinotsavam, on August 29th each year in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is the birthday of Telugu poet Gidugu Venkat Ramamurthy. Today is celebrated as Telugu Language Day, otherwise known as Telugu Bhasha Dinotsavam. We will also look into the commemoration. And today is also National Sports Day, Rashtriya Khel Divas, and commemorating the hockey legend birth anniversary, Major Dhyan Chand, who has dedicated, and also this day is dedicated to nation sports heroes and champions, honoring their contribution and dedication towards bringing laurels to the country and to raise awareness about the value of sports, discipline, perseverance, sportsman spirit, teamwork, and to encourage public in large to take up sports and make it an integral part of their lives while emphasizing on the importance of being fit and healthy. So these three commemorations today we will see. So let's start with the International Day Against Nuclear Tests. Since nuclear weapons testing began on 16 July 1945, over 2,000 have taken place. In the early days of nuclear testing, little consideration was given to its devastating effects on human life, let alone the dangers of nuclear fallout from atmospheric tests. Insight and history have shown us the terrifying and tragic effects of nuclear weapons testing, especially when controlled conditions go awry and in light of the far more powerful and destructive nuclear weapons that exist today. So on 2nd December 2009, the 64th session of the United Nations General Assembly declared 29th August the International Day Against Nuclear Tests by unanimously adopting Resolution 64/35. The resolution calls for increasing awareness and education about the effects of nuclear weapon tests, explosions, or any other nuclear explosions and the need for their cessation as one of the means of achieving the goal of a nuclear weapon-free world. The resolution was initiated by the Republic of Kazakhstan together with a large number of sponsors and co-sponsors with a view to commemorating the closure of the semi-Palestinian nuclear test site on 29th August 1991. So 2010 marked the inaugural commemoration of the International Day Against Nuclear Tests. In each subsequent year, the day has been observed by coordinating various activities throughout the world, such as symposiums, conferences, exhibits, competitions, publications, lectures, media broadcast, webinars, seminars, and other initiatives. Since its establishment, many bilateral and multilateral government level developments, as well as broad movements in civil society, have helped to advance the cause of the cause of banning nuclear tests. Moreover, convinced that nuclear disarmament and total elimination of nuclear weapons are the only absolute guarantee against the use or threat of nuclear weapons. The General Assembly designated 26th September as the International Day for the total elimination of nuclear weapons. That is next month. We have seen this month is also, we have seen commemoration of Hiroshima and also Nagasaki days, where the US has dropped two nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Japan, and still even now they are facing a lot of issues there. So we can see the kind of effects and after effects of testing, even launching these nuclear weapons. And next month also we'll be commemorating this day, which is devoted furthering the objective of the total elimination of nuclear weapons through the mobilization of international efforts. The International Day for the Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons was observed for the first time in September 2014. The International Day Against Nuclear Tests, together with other events and actions, have fostered a global environment that strongly advocates for a world free of nuclear weapons. The international instrument to put an end to all forms of nuclear testing, 1996 Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT in short. Unfortunately, this has yet to enter into force. As the Secretary General recognized in his disarmament agenda, Securing Our Common Future, launched on 24th May 2018, the norm against testing is an example of a measure that serves both disarmament and non-proliferation objectives. By constraining the development of advanced new types of nuclear weapons, the CTBT puts a brake on the arms race. It's also serves as a powerful normative barrier against potential states that might seek to develop, manufacture, and subsequently acquire nuclear weapons in violation of their non-proliferation commitments. Every effort needs to be made to ensure that entry into force of the CTBT and to preserve its place in the international architecture. In this regard, the Secretary General appeals to all remaining states whose ratifications are required for the CTBT to enter into force to commit to sign the treaty at an early date if they have not already done so, and to accelerate the completion of their ratification process. It is the hope of United Nations that one day all nuclear weapons will be eliminated. Until then, there is a need to observe International Day Against Nuclear Test as the world works towards promoting peace and peace and security. Here, the problem is with the developed nations who are not willing to forego these nuclear weapons. And, this constant fear of the monopoly of possessing nuclear weapons with the very few nations is always threat to the developing and underdeveloped nations, because they are constantly being threatened, because they cannot, when there is any conflict or war, they do not have these nuclear weapons, so they become vulnerable to these nations. So every nation has its own, duty or responsibility, or for that matter, right to defend itself. in this context, when we are talking about disarmament, so every nation disarmament will happen only with no nation possess this nuclear weapon. But the hesitancy with the ones with the developed nations who are widely possessing these nuclear arms are not willing to give away. So though they themselves are proposed, but that is not looked in a positive way, because you are preaching but you are not practicing, and at the same time you are preventing for the nations to have their own security in place. There is a lot of criticism that they are not giving or transferring technology to developing nations and underdeveloping nations by showing various excuses of insecurity and lack of various security measures, so that they can protect and safeguard these nuclear arms and ammunition. And there are other things we'll not get into detail, because that itself is a very big debate. So understanding why this treaty CTBT is not coming into place is only because of those who have initially proposed and are trying to control the other nations not to advance in the nuclear energy or nuclear science, for that matter. There are many, in spite of many nations having this power problem also, nuclear energy constraints are also being put where certain nations are advancing with nuclear energy. They are generating power and various other meeting energy requirements, but certain nations are not being allowed to use nuclear energy for the rightful justful purpose also, like for generating power to meet their industry or household requirements or for agriculture requirement. So there are a lot of disparities in spite of though it is a very good motive and cause, but the background, the inequalities, or the digital, for that matter, this nuclear divide among the nations, which is threatening the equity and equality in terms of possessing these nuclear weapons, is creating an issue, so that this treaty is not coming into force practically. If you look at the background, on 2nd December 2009, the 64th session of the United Nations General Assembly declared 29th August as the International Day Against Nuclear Tests through the unanimous adoption of its resolution 64/35. As already discussed, the preamble of the resolution emphasizes that every effort should be made to end nuclear tests in order to avoid devastating and harmful effects on the lives and health of the people. And the end of nuclear tests is one of the key means of achieving the goal of nuclear weapon-free world. The main mechanism for eradicating nuclear weapons testing is Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT. It was, it was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on 10th September 1996. To date, 185 countries have signed the treaty and 170 countries have ratified it. For the treaty to enter into force, it must be ratified by those states with significant nuclear capabilities. This is the problem we are facing. See, in spite of 185 countries who have already signed, out of 192 countries, it is around 194 or 196, if I'm not wrong. So at this point, I am unable to recollect that. But out of all the member nations, these very few nations which are holding power
entire nuclear power in their hands, few couple of nations are not ratifying, not signing, not ratifying, that is causing, the problem or for the insecurities to other nations. So if these nations also sign and ratify it, and the treaty will come into force, and it will prevent, all these, even including the developed nations also, not to further conduct research on nuclear weapons and weapon testing, and further manufacturing of nuclear weapons. So this is again, this will is a countermeasure for their power and monopoly over the other countries or over the world. So that's why they are not coming forward. And while the general consensus with the international community is that nuclear weapons tests pose life-threatening risks, there still exists to some degree a lingering suspicion of the possibility of clandestine nuclear weapon testing. There is also concern that if nuclear weapons cannot be tested, their reliability may be in jeopardy. So again, here one more issue is testing the nuclear weapons. That means you are launching the nuclear weapon and you are emitting a lot of radiation and waste pollution and causing a lot of harm to the environment and in nature in particular. So there is also concern, if they are not tested, again, quality, reliability is not assured because we don't know whether it will work as intended or not. So testing is constantly required. So to eliminate all this, first of all, we need to first discard whatever nuclear weapons we have safely, so that there is no need in the very first place to have a nuclear weapon or a need for a research for a nuclear weapon. So there is also a concern or that by possessing few or stopping at this particular type of at point of time, the nations who are already possessing the nuclear weapons or the nuclear technology will continue to possess, and the countries which are not possessing nuclear weapons will never have an opportunity to possess or to acquire nuclear weapons. So this will constantly be a concern for the developing and underdeveloped nations, because they are constantly threatened because they are not having these nuclear weapons, and they are forced or compelled, for that matter, of wars or conflicts. And when we see over the years, advance in science and technology have exponentially boosted the capacity to monitor and verify compliance mechanisms and nuclear weapons proliferation detection. These activities and tracking tools have been initiated and developed by the Provisional Technical Secretariat of the CTBT organization, in short known as CTBTO Preparatory Commission. Despite the stalled entry into force and increasingly robust public advocacy, including activities and events undertaken on the International Day Against Nuclear Tests, is exerting pressure on the powers that to be moved forward on the ratification of the treaty with a new view towards the ultimate eradication of nuclear weapons testing. So this day, by commemorating, by celebrating, and by bringing us awareness, so these this day deliberations are also putting a pressure on these nuclear powers or leaders, for that matter, who are possessing this nuclear power and are dominating the world, to give up this nuclear weapons testing as well as manufacturing and holding these nuclear weapons. And the preparatory commission of the CTBTO and its 170 ratifying states vigorously continue to push for the treaty's entry into the force. The CTBTO's internal monitoring system, already encompassing nearly 90% of the states, provide confidence that no nuclear explosion will escape detection. However, nothing can play as crucial role in avoiding a nuclear war or nuclear terrorist threat as the total elimination of nuclear weapons. So as long as there is total elimination of nuclear weapons, this threat and constant threat is always there. And bringing an irreversible end to nuclear explosion will prevent the further development of nuclear weapons. And since the International Day Against Nuclear Tests was first declared, there had been a number of significant developments, discussions, and initiatives relevant to its goals and objectives, as well as conferences convened to elaborate the advances of these developments. If we see a few, let's look at a few recent advancements. Like in 2022, this year, 9th June, the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, in short IAEA, adopted a resolution by a vote of 30 in favor of 2 against and 3 abstentions, which called upon Iran to clarify and resolve outstanding safeguards issues. In 21st to 23rd July, the first meeting of the states parties to the Treaty of the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons was held in Vienna. From 1st to 26th August, 10th Review Conference of the Parties of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons was held at the United Nations headquarters in New York. So similarly, there are a lot of developments that has happened in recent, after this declaration of International Day. So what role can we play, or the civil societies can play? From the beginning of the nuclear age, civil society has played a prominent role in the effort of permanently halt testing of nuclear weapons. Physicists, seismologists, and other scientists, physicians and lawyers, women organizations, research institutes, and disarmament NGOs, mayors and parliamentarians, downwinders exposed to radioactive contaminants resulting from atmospheric testing, and Hibakusha, the survivors of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the wider public all have been involved. So some highlights from the decades of activities. In 1950s, physicians and women groups raised awareness of the health effects of atmospheric testing, including the presence of radioisotopes in children's teeth. This campaign helped lead to partial test ban treaty, which prohibits testing underwater, in the atmosphere and the outer space, but not underground. In 1980s, US and Russian scientists conducted joint experiments to demonstrate the feasibility of verifying a ban on underground testing. Also, in 1980s, US groups conducted mass protests at the Nevada test site in the United States, and a powerful anti-testing campaign known as the Nevada Semi-Palestinian movement emerged in Kazakhstan, home to the principal Soviet test site. Its semi-Palestinian, well-publicized actions and campaigns were also directed at the French test site at Murillo in the Pacific in 1980s and again in the 1990s. So beginning in 1985, NGOs lobbied in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, in short known as NPT, review process for a commitment to achieve a comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. It was first adopted in connection with the 1995 decision to extend the treaty and reaffirmed that at the 2000 and 2010 review conferences. Especially since the end of the Cold War, civil society has vigorously advocated in growing numbers for NPT review conferences to commit to steps to the leading to the elimination of nuclear weapons, including the CTBT, and the 2000 and 2010 conferences, in fact, have done so. In 1990s, the NGOs and parliamentarians sparked the convening of a 1991 conference on amending the partial test ban treaty to make it comprehensive, a process which helped to lay the groundwork for CTBT negotiations. Non-governmental researchers developed understanding of verification techniques, and non-governmental research and advocacy groups monitored the negotiations that led to the 1996 adoption of the CTBT. NGOs campaigned to persuade their governments to negotiate, then ratify the CTBT. Some also critiqued experimental and supercomputing facilities intended to replace nuclear explosive testing. Over the decades, and especially in recent years, civil society's efforts in support of comprehensive ban on nuclear testing for the most part have been connected to the large enterprise of achieving the total elimination of nuclear weapons. To help the CTBT into force, NGOs, civil societies, and members of public, especially in those countries that must ratify the treaty for it to enter into force, can urge their and other governments and parliaments to sign and ratify the treaty. They can also urge the governments to endorse the Secretary General's 5-point proposal for nuclear disarmament, which includes bringing the CTBT into force and consideration of negotiating a nuclear weapons convention backed by a strong system of verification, as has long been proposed at the United Nations. So many entities such as research institutions, academic institutions, and NGOs are engaged in disarmament related work, including in relation to the CTBT. The pressing global issue of atomic energy, the United Nations and the nuclear age were born almost simultaneously. The horror of the Second World War, culminating into nuclear blasts of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, brought home the need to address nuclear issue. By its first resolution, the General Assembly established the UN Atomic Energy Commission to deal with the problems raised by the discovery of atomic energy, and a landmark address by United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1953, Atoms for Peace, led to the establishment of International Atomic Energy Agency, in short IAEA, in 1957. So with this hope, soon we will have nuclear-free environment and a world. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration of International Day Against Nuclear Tests, and we will move on to other commemoration of the day. Yeah. Today is also National Sports Day. India celebrates National Sports Day on 29th August to commemorate the birth anniversary of hockey legend Major Dhyan Chand. Today is also dedicated to the nation's sports heroes and champions, honoring their contribution and dedication towards bringing laurels to the country, with the aim to raise awareness about the values of sports, discipline, perseverance, sportsman spirit, teamwork, and to encourage public in large to take up sports and make it an integral part of their lives, while emphasizing on the importance of being fit and healthy. So this year, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, in short MYAS, and Fit India Mission aim to take Fit India movement to schools, colleges, ministries, government and private organizations by encouraging them to participate in a grand manner on occasion of National Sports Day on 29th August. On this day, schools, colleges, ministries, government and private organizations should encourage their students, employees, staff to take part in sports fitness activities for at least 1 hour. So, suggested activities to engage the participants were as follows. Outdoor activities include football, running, kho, tennis, hockey, and indoor activity includes badminton, volleyball, handball, basketball, tennis, table tennis, and fun activities include sack race, lemon race, rope skipping, aerobics, squat challenge. So various guidelines were provided and even online registration was provided for the stakeholders to take part in it, so that they can get the certificate of participation also. So this Fit India movement launched by Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports on 29th August 2019 by Honorable Prime Minister with a view to make fitness an integral part of our daily lives. The mission of the movement is to bring about behavioral changes and move towards a more physically active lifestyle. Towards achieving this mission, Fit India proposes to undertake various initiatives and to conduct events to achieve the following objectives. These objectives are to promote fitness as easy, fun, and free, to spread awareness on the fitness and various physical activities that promote fitness through focused campaigns, to encourage indigenous sports, to make fitness each and every college, school, college, university, panchayat, village, etc., to create a platform for citizens of India to share information, drive awareness, and encourage sharing of personal stories, fitness stories. So there is an app also available on Google App Store, Google Play Store, and this iOS App Store, which is Fit India mobile app, where you can check your fitness levels, track your steps, track your sleep, track your calorie intake, and you can be part of the Fit India movements and get customized diet plans, age-wise fitness level, and all you can get through this app. And Fit India mission encourages people to become part of Fit India movement by inculcating at least 30 to 60 minutes of physical activities in their day-to-day lives. The mission movement is to bring about behavior changes and move towards a more physically active lifestyle. There are various protocols as part of this Fitness India program, Fit India program, based on the age 5 to 18 years and 18 to 65 years and 65 years plus. So we can follow those guidelines and protocols and accordingly organize events and take up various activities as per the protocol. Or otherwise, we can also have our own agenda as per our flexibility, and we can also commemorate this day. So, as already mentioned, the National Sports Day in India is celebrated on 29th August on the birth anniversary of hockey player Major Dhyan Chand. This day marks the birthday of Major Dhyan Chand Singh, the hockey player who won gold medals in Olympics for India in the years 1928, 1932, 1936. He scored, 570 goals in his career from 1926 to 1949, according to his autobiography named Goals. After putting his stamp on the international hockey arena and having served the country to reach its pinnacles of glory multiple times, he was a legendary figure in the Indian world hockey. The most noted memorials for him were the Major Dhyan Chand Award, the highest award for lifetime achievement in sports and games in India, and the National Sports Day celebrations on his birthday. Major Dhyan Chand learnt the game of the hockey from his coach Pankaj Gupta. There is no one who has reached this level in hockey, and the birth anniversary of hockey legend Major Dhyan Chand is on 29th August 1905. So not only in India, various countries also celebrate National Sports Day on different occasions, commemorating, their sportsmen. Let's briefly look into, life of Major Dhyan Chand. He was an Indian field hockey player, widely regarded as one of the greatest field hockey players in the history. He was known for his extraordinary ball control and goal scoring feats, in addition to earning 3 Olympic gold medals in 1928, 1932, and 1936 during an era where India dominated field hockey. This influence extended beyond these victories as India won the field hockey event in the 7 out of 8 Olympics from 1928 to 1964. So known as the wizard or the magician of hockey for his superb ball control, Chand played internationally from 1926 to 1949, where he scored 570 goals in 185 matches, according to his autobiography named Goal, and over 1,000 goals in his entire domestic and international career. BBC called him the hockey's equivalent Muhammad Ali. The government of India awarded Chand India's third highest civilian honor, the Padma Bhushan, in 1956. His birthday, 29th August, is celebrated as National Sports Day in India every year. India's highest sporting honor, Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award, is named after him. If we look at his childhood, Dhyan Chand was born in Allahabad on August 29th, that is today, in 1905 in a Rajput family. He was the elder brother of another hockey player, Roop Singh, and the son of Sharada Singh and Sameshwar Singh. Dhyan Chand's father was enlisted in the British Army, Indian Army, and he played hockey for the army. Dhyan Chand has 2 brothers, Mool Singh and Roop Singh. Because of his father's numerous army transfers, the family had to move to different cities, and as such, Chand had to terminate his education after only 6 years of schooling. The family finally settled in Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh, India, and Chand studied at the Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh, and finally graduated from Victoria College, Gwalior in 1932. Being in the military, his father got a small piece of land for a house. Young Chand had no serious inclination towards sports, though he loved wrestling. He stated that he did not remember whether he played any hockey worth mentioning before he joined the army, though he said that he occasionally indulged in casual games in Jhansi with his friends. So his early career, that is on his 17th birthday on 29th August 1922, Chand enlisted the first Brahmins of the British Army as a sepoy, as a private, a reorganization of the army that resulted in the first Brahmins becoming the first Punjab regiment. Between 1922 and 1926, Chand exclusively played army hockey tournament and regiment games. So Chand was ultimately selected for the Indian Army team, which was to tour New Zealand. And the team won 18 matches, drew 2, and lost only 1, receiving praise from all spectators. Following this, in the 2 test matches against the New Zealand squad, the team won the first and narrowly lost the second. Returning to India, Chand was promoted to Lance Nayak in 1927. After successfully lobbying for reintroducing field hockey in the Olympics, the newly formed Indian Hockey Federation made preparations to send its best possible team for the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics. In 1925, an interprovincial tournament was held to select the team members. 5 teams participated in the inaugural nationals: United Provinces, Punjab, Bengal, Rajputana, and Central Provinces. Chand got permission from Army to play for the United Provinces team. In its first game in the tournament, Dhyanchand as a center forward and Marat Martins and their side right performed very well together. Chand attracted much attention with his clever stick work. His penetrating runs and judicious passes seemed to assure him a position in the team, that is to take part in the Olympic Games. Early in the game, it became evident that Chand was at his best. In combination with the Martins, he took the ball away to the right, and Martins did well to give him a good pass. Quick as lightning, Dhyanchand shot a goal. The ball struck one of the defender's streak and went into the net, giving goalkeeper Kohli no chance. A goal within 3 minutes of the start was more than what the most optimistic of the UP supporters could expect. At that interval, UP led by 3-0. On their part, Rajputana put every ounce of their efforts to score. The UP goal had more than one narrow escape, but were the winners of the fine exhibition match with 3-1. So, buoyed by the success of the tournament, it was decided that it would be held every 2 years after more trial matches between various hopefuls. The Olympic team, including Chand as center forward, was announced and assembled in Bombay. Center half Broomy Eric Pinniger was selected as a captain. The IHF was initially low on funds, since the provinces of Bombay, Madras, and Burma had turned a deaf ear to their financial appeal, but they managed to scrape enough money. The Olympic team then played a match against the Bombay and amazingly lost 3-2 by 3-2, even though since Singh scored both his team goals. With a quiet send-off, the team left for England on 10th March to play 11 matches against local sides as well as in London Folkestone Festival in 1927, winning all. It was also said that Great Britain did not send a team in 1928 to the Amsterdam Olympics after the national team was defeated by the Indian team at Folkestone. So this is best cited in Kapoor's book Romance of Hockey, where a dispatch of H. Sutherland Star, London, representative of sports, a magazine of Lahore, tells the story better than any other comment. For reasons it is difficult to understand, the English Hockey Association has taken up a very stiff attitude towards Indian hockey in recent years and have repeatedly been tweeted about it by ever their own supporters. The editor of a leading sports newspaper described them to be as an intensively conservative body, but there seems to be something more than conservative behind their unwillingness apparently ever to meet India in a full international encounter. Finally, on 24th April, the team arrived in Amsterdam to embark on a tour of the Low Countries. In all the pre-Olympic matches against the local Dutch, German, and Belgian teams, the Indian team won by large margins. So in the 1928 Amsterdam Summer Olympics, the team was put in the Division A table with Austria, Belgium, Denmark, and Switzerland. On 17th May, the Indian national hockey team was made its Olympic debut against Austria, winning 6-0 by 6-0, with Chand scoring 3 goals. The next day, India defeated Belgium by 9-0. However, Chand only scored once. On 20th May, Denmark lost India by 5-0, with Chand netting 3. And 2 days later, he scored 4 goals when India defeated Switzerland by 6-0. So the final match took place on 26th May with the India facing the home team of Netherlands. The Indian team's better players, Feroz Khan, Ali Shaukat, and Kher Singh, were on the sick list, and Chand himself was ill. However, even with a skeletal side, India managed to defeat the hosts by 3-0, with Singh scoring 2, and the Indian team won India's first Olympic gold medal. Chand was the top scorer of the tournament with 14 goals in 5 matches. A newspaper report about India's triumph said, "This is not a game of hockey, but magic. Dhyan Chand is in fact the magicians of the hockey." So later, the authorities in the Netherlands in fact broke Chand's hockey stick to check whether if there was any magnet inside owing to his superb ball control ability. An elderly woman asked him to play with her walking cane, and he continued to score goals with it. On returning to India, the team was received by thousands of people at the Bombay Harbour compared to 3 people who had sent them off. And, you can see later on the saga continued, and the Olympic team then played practice matches in India before heading for Colombo. 2 matches in Ceylon, and the Olympic team beat all Ceylon by 20-0 and 10-0. And later on, the saga of various Olympic games continued by winning them. And the team, after setting sail on tour of United States, they played a match of 20 on 20 August against United States, almost the same team they had faced in Los Angeles even before loaning its second keeper, Arthur Hinn, for a half. The team won by 24-1. So this is just an introduction of, how from a scratch they have been building their team in spite of all challenges, and they really contributed a lot and won many gold medals for us, for the nation. So finally, when looking at the final years of Dhyan Chand, continued to hold his emergency commission in the Indian Army post-independence with the service number IEC 3526, but was apparently not granted a regular commission. In 1951, he was honored at the Indian National Stadium with the inaugural Dhyan Chand tournament, which he added to the admiration of the spectators. After 34 years of service, Chand retired from the Indian Army on 29th August 1956 as a lieutenant acting captain. The government of India honored him the same year by conferring him the Padma Bhushan, India's third highest civilian honor. After retirement, he taught at the coaching camps at Mount Abu, Rajasthan. Later, he accepted the position of chief hockey coach at the National Institute of Sports, Patiala, a post to be held for several years. Chand spent his last days in his hometown of Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh. Chand died on 3rd December 1979 from liver cancer at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. He was cremated at the Jhansi Heroes Ground in his hometown after some initial problems in getting clearance. His regiment, the Punjab Regiment, accorded him with full military honors. When we look at the, legacy that Dhyan Chand has left to all of us, Dhyan Chand remains a legendary figure in India and world hockey. His skills have been glorified in various apocryphal stories and anecdotes. A number of these revolve around the fact that Singh had extraordinary control over dribbling the ball. Chand's birthday, 29th August, is celebrated as National Sports Day in India, and the president gives away sports-related awards such as Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna, Arjuna Award, and Dronacharya Award on this day at Rashtrapati Bhavan, India. So the 20th National Award 2012, the Gem of India, awarded by the Union Minister of India, was given to Dhyan Chand. The award received by Dhyan Chand's sons, Ashok Dhyan Chand, a hockey Olympian in his own right, on behalf of deceased father. The award was given by Journalists Association of India under the flagship of Journalists Federation of India and Sirfort Auditorium, New Delhi, India on 22nd September 2022. And a stamp was released on Dhyan Chand in 1980, commemorating India's highest award for the lifetime achievement in sports is the Dhyan Chand Award, which has been awarded annually since 2002 to the sporting figures who not only contribute to their performance but also contribute to the sport of their retirement. The National Stadium, Delhi, was renamed Dhyan Chand National Stadium in 2002 in his honor. A hostel at Aligarh Muslim University, where he studied, he was alumnus, has been named after him. He scored over 1,000 goals in his entire domestic and international career from 1926 to 1948, making him the highest goal scorer in the hockey history. And BBC called him the Hockery's equivalent of Muhammad Ali. So as AstroTurf hockey pitch at the Indian Gymkhana Club in London has been named after Indian hockey legend Dhyan Chand. Government of India has issued a commemorative stamp and a first day cover in honor of Dhyan Chand. He remains the only Indian hockey player to have a stamp in his honor. Chand was among the nominees considered for India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, for 2014, and there was a support for it. The award was then given to Sachin Tendulkar, CNR Rao. The family members of Dhyan Chand were disappointed with the government's decision, and an RTI was filed which suggested that the Prime Minister office has ignored the recommendation from Sports Ministry on giving the award to Sachin Tendulkar and others. This is a controversy. Anyway, we are not looking at it, but such a kind. Basically, it was for the hockey, but they extended it to other sports also. So somewhere they feel that the hockey players lost that opportunity. So honors, as a Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award is named after him to honor his contribution to Indian sports by Government of India Sports Ministry. Every year give this award annual to the India's best performer on international level championships. And also Dhyan Chand Award, a lifetime achievement award named after Dhyan Chand, as already discussed. So with this we shall conclude, and with the names of captains, hockey captains in Olympics, with the first participation of Olympics in Amsterdam Olympics, where we got gold medals. At that time, the captain was Jaipal Singh Munda, and later on the Los Angeles Olympics, Lal Bukhari, and Berlin Olympics, Dhyan Chand was captain, and London Olympics under the leadership of Kishan Lal, and Helsinki Olympics 1952, KD Singh, and Melbourne Olympics 1956, Balbir Singh with gold medal, and even in 1960 Rome Olympics silver medal, and Tokyo Olympics in 1964 gold medal, Mexico City Olympics 1968 bronze medal, and Munich Olympics 1972 bronze medal, and Montreal Olympics 1976 7th position, and Moscow Olympics gold medal in 1980, Los Angeles Olympics 5th position in 1984, and Seoul Olympics 1968 6th position, and Barcelona Olympics 7th position in 1992, Atlanta Olympics 8th position in 1996, Sydney Olympics 7th position in 2000, Athens Olympics 7th position in 2004, London Olympics 12th position in 2012, Rio Olympics 2016 8th position, and Tokyo Olympics bronze medal in 2020. So, there has been decline from 1980 till 1990. Almost there was India was winning Olympic medal, at least gold, bronze, or silver, standing among the top three. But later on, we saw there was a decline. And until recent 2020 Olympics, again, we got a bronze medal under the leadership of captaincy of Manpreet Singh. So with this, we shall conclude the commemoration of hockey. And let's at least by, 30 to 60 minutes, let's actively engage in whatever sports, indoor or outdoor, whatever sports you are interested in, so that you can, we all can be fit and healthy. So with this, we'll conclude this commemoration, and then we'll move on to our last commemoration for the day. That is Telugu Language Day, or Telugu Bhasha Dinotsav. So Telugu Language Day is celebrated on August 29th every year in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and being Telugu is the official language of two states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Telugu is also one of the beautiful languages and mostly widely spoken languages in the country. According to 2011 census, there were nearly 81 million Telugu speakers in the country. So Telugu belongs to the Dravidian language family and is spoken in Bahrain, Malaysia, Mauritius, United States, Fiji, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, and also the United Kingdom. Telugu is the fourth most spoken language in India and is called the Italian of the East because Niccolò di Conti, a 16th century Italian traveler, found the Telugu language finishes the vowels just like the Italian language. The International Alphabet Association chose the language script to be the second best in the world in 2012. August 29th is celebrated as Telugu Language Day to commemorate the birth anniversary of Telugu poet Gidugu Venkata Ramamurthy. Various programs are held on Telugu Language Day in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh government celebrates Gidugu Ramamurthy's 159th birth anniversary on August 29th as Telugu Language Day in all the districts of the state. More than 40 people who have worked for the development and preservation of the Telugu language will be recognized on this day with a certificate and cash award of 15,000 rupees each at the state level ceremony. So, like there are a few quotes for this day. If you master your own language, you will master foreign languages. So Telugu language should not stop with us. It should pass on to our generations, and it is our responsibility to preserve it. Telugu is a language of poetic fragrances. Let us try our best to respect our language. It is our responsibility to preserve Telugu. Let's keep Telugu alive. Read, write, and speak Telugu with friends and family this Telugu Language Day. Sweet as laughter of children, this is beauty of Telugu as mother tongue. The language of Telugu is representative of our culture, and wishing you all happy Telugu Language Day. And as already discussed, the Department of Culture is responsible for organizing the day on behalf of the government of Andhra Pradesh. And let's briefly look into the life of Gidugu Venkata Ramamurthy, one of the greatest poets. And there is also one event which is being organized, known as Telugu World Conference or World Telugu Conference, in short known as WTC, is a conference for furtherance of Telugu language, and literary luminaries attend and share their views on spreading and preserving the language and advocating a Telugu language policy. So the first conference was held in Hyderabad in 1975. And then the then Minister of Education, Mandali Venkata Krishna Rao, was instrumental in starting it. The singer M.S. Rama Rao made his debut at the conference. It was also attended by this Shankarambadi Sundarachari, who penned the anthem Ma Telugu Talliki, and also the actor-singer Tanguturi Surya Kumari. The second World Telugu Conference was held in April 1981 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. and the third in December 1990 in Mauritius. The fourth Telugu conference was held in Tirupati in December 2012, and the fifth was held in 15th December 2017 at LB Stadium, again in Hyderabad, celebrating 40 years of Telugu conference. So that was a last conference that was held until recently. So the next conference is due. So let's look into the life of, in brief, Gidugu Venkat Ramamurthy. So he was born in 1863 and departed in 1940. He was a very eminent and great Telugu writer and one of the earliest modern Telugu linguistics and social visionaries during the British rule. He championed the cause of using language comprehensible to the common man, that is Vyavaharika Bhasha, as opposed to the scholastic language Grandhika Bhasha. So when we look at the early life of Gidugu Ramamurthy, he was born at Parvatalapeta, Srikakulam near Vamshadhara River on the border of Orissa. His father, Veeraraju, worked as a revenue inspector and died when Ramamurthy was 12 years old. It was a struggle for him to survive. He studied privately and passed his matriculation, staying in his sister's house, and began his life as a teacher in Gajapati Maharaja School, Parlakamidi, for 55 years. Albeit among a historian as well, Ramamurthy was unable to read Shashanas on the stone tablets clearly. To understand them, he studied books that were imported by Vijayanagaram Maharaja's sons, Kumara Raja. He studied various language scripts, and after deciphering the Shashanas, he wrote books on languages and scripts. Ramamurthy had studied many languages and comprehended the philosophy of language. He pleaded for lucidity in textbooks, and in his time, there was only a poetic approach and never was a prosaic treat. He launched a monthly title, Telugu, to drive his point. So Gidugu gave a social base to Telugu literature and rendered services to the tribals, especially the Savaras and Parlakamadi area, the Srikakulam agency area, and tirelessly worked for the development of the tribal languages. He gave Savara language a script and prepared lexicons. During his research for the Savara language, he had to travel in the forest, resulting in excessive use of quinine, due to which he became deaf. So he played a very significant role, in simplifying language, that is language of a common man, Vyavaharika Bhasha, that is commonly used language instead of this Grandhic language or scholarly or literature language. The language of the Shashanas, inscriptions, the language loaded with Sanskrit diction of the Kavyas, and the language spoken every day were not the same. For many of the Telugu speakers themselves, Kavya Bhasha is mostly incomprehensible. The Grandhika Bhasha, that is written language, then taught in the schools and colleges, did not promote the skills necessary either for understanding or for communicating effectively in real life situations. The development of people depends on their language skills. When scholarship is limited to the creamy layers of the society because of the difficulty in learning language, the rest of the society is denied access and opportunity for development. Gidugu was an eminent language visionary. As a pedagogue, he was decades ahead of his time. He recognized the primacy of oracy and efficiency of the by now accepted direct method of language teaching. For teaching Telugu, he wanted the spoken language to be the medium of instruction. This engulfed him in a war with the orthodox Sanskrit educated Pandits, which sometimes turned vitriolic. Due to Gidugu's tenacity and commitment, and commitment, Shishta Vyavaharika, standard, current, and spoken language gained currency and acceptance. To drive home his pedagogic, literary, humanistic, and modernizing thoughts, Gidugu boldly, unteringly, and persuasively used the press, publications, the public platform, social discourse, and even pamphleteering, never once losing his cool and objectively in argument. Between 1910 and 1914, he went about talking, arguing, convincing, making rapid strides even in the face of stiff opposition. Balaka Visaranyam, Gadya Chintamani, Andhra Pandita Bishakula Bhasha Beshajam, and Vyasavali are his efforts to convince and plead with his opponents to see the reason. Ramurthy saw in his own lifetime people seeing his point and rallying around him. Kandukuri Virishilingam Pantulu founded Vartamana Vyavaharika Andhra Bhasha Parivartaka Samajam. As its president endorsed Gidugu's views. Andhra Sahitya Parishad, Kakinada, withdrew from the fight in 1924. In 1933, Abhinava Andhra Kavi Pandita Sabha, under the chairmanship of Chilukuri Narayan Rao Pantulu, resolved the modern Vyavaharikam must be the medium of instruction. In 1936, a journal was started publishing articles in the current cultivated Telugu. In 1937, Tapi Dharma Rao started a periodical in this style. The government and the universities had to listen to the reason, and today the cultivated current Telugu is a medium of instruction, of examination, and even thesis writing. That's how the Telugu language has got simplified from Grandic literature language to the common man language. And various works taken up by Gidugu Venkatamurthy was Kalinga Orissa Charitra, developed language script and prepared lexicons for the Savara people, that is Munda tribe in the Srikakulam agency area, and Sora English Dictionary and Savara Patalu were his works. And he received various honors. The British government conferred on him the title of Rao Sahib, not for loyalty to the crown, but his service to the Savaras, to the pedagogy, and to the Telugu. The British government conferred on him the title of Kaisar-i-Hind Medal on him in the year of 1933 for his services. The Telugu Language Day is celebrated on his birthday, that is today, 29th August, nicknamed as Pidugu, a thunderbolt, rhyming with his surname Gidugu. And European linguisticians like Jules Bayach and Daniel Jones recognized his work on Munda linguistics as pioneering and original. And various, a number of scholars, linguists, and teachers have discussed Gidugu's work and written about his achievements. Most important among them are Telugu Bhasha Charitra, edited by Professor B.H. Krishnamurthy, Vyavaharika Bhasha Vikasam by Dr. Budharaju Radhakrishna, Marosari Gidugu Ramurthy, edited by Professor C. Ramarao, late Burra Sheshagiri Rao of Bharati Tirtha fame, David Stampede and J. A. Yates are many others who recorded their admiration for Gidgu's work. Stanley Stratrosa, well-known linguistic and professor at the University of Hawaii, dedicated his PhD thesis submitted of the University of Wisconsin to Gidgu Venkata Ramamurthy. So Gidgu Ramamurthy, Jeevitam Rachanalu by Professor Dr. Dasarathulla Narsaya. So these are the various, research work on Gidgu's work. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. And, Telugu is a wonderful language, also known as Italian of the East, language of the Italian of the East. And also, it is very sweet language. The famous king Krishnadeva Railu said, Telugu Desha Bhashalandu Telugu Bhasha Lessa. Means that is the most wonderful language among all the languages of India. So every language has its own culture, and it is through language through which our cultures and traditions are taken forward. So it is very important, irrespective. We in India, we have more than 6,000 languages, and through Constitution, we have around 20 plus languages. So it is necessary for all of us, and we need to take the responsibility to take our responsibility to carry forward our own mother tongue languages, irrespective of whatever language it may be. Today is Telugu language day, so we are commemorating Telugu language. Tomorrow it may be Tamil or Kannada or the Hindi or Urdu or whatever language it may be. But it should be promoted, it should be protected, and it should be widely used. See, if you don't use any language, what will happen? It will disappear. And especially it is a great threat that today English is creating a lot of, competition, not only to, many people are getting this notion, or for that matter, falling in this propaganda and, leaving their own languages. This should not be a development doesn't entirely depend on English language, and it is widely, seen across the world. In China, this Mandarin and Chinese language is widely used. And there are many countries, in Japan, or you take most developed countries, even in USA also, most of the population speaks Spanish. So we almost what a lot of misinterpretation, lot of propaganda, lot of what we have to say, the entire history has been distorted by the vested interests with their vested interest, by the vested people with vested interests to distort and, influence the opinion of the people, so that they destroy their own cultures and traditions, and they become the traitors of their own culture, traditions, forgoing their own languages, culture. So we should not be falling prey to that and become scapegoats of this propaganda. So we have to be very cautious and take informed decisions, and protect ourselves. Tomorrow we should not become cultureless people, after losing our own cultures and traditions, and the cultures which were, which were part of our lineage, should be protected, promoted, and used. So, though English is universal language, there is nothing wrong in, for that matter, learning one or more languages. But everyone should ensure that they must, have proficiency in their own mother language. Even many research says that, you have the highest potential in the mother tongue language. So every mother tongue language has to be promoted for every individual, irrespective of what the language is. That will help, to promote and the individuals to reach their highest potential. When various researchers also say so, that show that you cannot use any other language than mother tongue to imagine or to foster your creativity to that extent. So with this, we shall conclude here. Though, I mean, we had to deliver it in Telugu, but, the diverse audience, so we had to use even English for that matter. But, sometimes this is the challenge we face, because not everyone is, accustomed with the Telugu language. So we have used English language as a medium. So with this, thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful occasion, and let's do some exercise, some sort of physical activity. Either it may be yoga, meditation, running, jogging, swimming, whatever you feel like doing. Or if you have some pet, just go out, walk with your pet, or do some activity. Or even if you don't have any pets, also just freak out in your home. Even if you are not going outdoor, also, even if you stay inside, also, just move around, stretch yourself, and make yourself flexible. Keep all our body healthy, flexible, so that we have less number of vulnerabilities towards illness or diseases. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us on this wonderful occasion. And see you all tomorrow at the same time, with the same link, with a different topic and speaker. Tomorrow we have an international speaker, a professor from USA. So kindly do join in time. We'll have a wonderful session tomorrow. And the feedback link is being shared in chat box. Please fill up the feedback form before you leave the webinar platform. Thank you everyone once again for joining us on this wonderful occasion. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night. If you have any feedback, you can leave in chat box. Or if you would like to share, you can raise your hand so that I can unmute.